Everyone, welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about today's pending crash in the market. There's fear everywhere. Let's find out what this means for Bitcoin though. So welcome. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell button, like, comment. Cool. More likes, more comments, even better. So yeah, so I spoke over last week about Thursday, the crash that happened. We had a bit of a relief rally on Friday. Today's looking pretty nasty. We're going to talk about why it's pretty nasty in a second. But just before we start, it's vitally important that you understand that the futures in the Dow Jones, as you get up and stuff like that, especially if you're in Europe and the UK, it's not looking good. Not looking good at all. The FTSE's down 3%. It's crazy. The whole world is starting to panic a little bit because there's been a massive jump in cases with COVID-19 in certain countries. China, noticeably, America, due to the Black Lives Matter protests, etc. Probably happening in the UK. There's been a lot of protests over here as well. Pretty crazy. People just kind of ignored it all and just went for it. And it's going to cause some problems and hurt. So we're going to talk about what this kind of means in terms of the knock-on effect and most importantly cryptocurrency, why it kind of matters. So in terms of this is massively important. China and US coronavirus crisis, it's kind of going to hit again, I think. There's been a massive eruption in cases very, very quickly. Beijing have locked off certain parts of the city. Crazy. In the US, they've had record-breaking cases over the past few months, now have been duplicated again. So crazy to think the speed of that. In terms of the London FTSE, that's fallen 2.2% already this morning, give or take. The Frankfurt DAX has fallen 2.6%. The Paris, well, the CAC 40 essentially 2.7%. Huge amount of losses already across the board. This is opening morning. It's currently 10:30 UK time. When you watch this video, majority of it would have played out. You may look at the charts thinking, oh god. You may look at the charts thinking, it's not too bad. But I do feel it will be an, oh god, this is pretty bad. On Thursday, it was the 25th worst crash in the Dow Jones history. Pretty big, pretty meaty. We could be on for one of those again today. So be mindful. In terms of all the kind of COVID stuff and the element of that, a lot of people are kind of worrying long term. I'm worried a little bit because I want to get back to normality. I'm bored now. I want to go back out and eat food at Nando's. I want to go and watch football. I want to bloody sit and chill out and go out and do stuff. It's irritating, right? It is crap. But we've got to be patient. I think over time, knock-on effects will affect everything. You've got to think jobs, right? There's a lot of unemployed people in America. People are not going to be buying Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies if they've got no money. It depends if there's going to be helicopter money. If there's going to be a reprint of money, which is obviously a bullish case long term for Bitcoin, but at the moment, no. There's not many people, there's not enough demand, there's nowhere near enough demand. Talking about supply and demand as well, car industry, aviation, hospitality industry, all these are going to get absolutely smashed because people are not going to be going on holiday, they're not going to be going out for food, they're not going to be buying cars because they've got no money. All that stuff like that is going to create a bit of a tumble. When there's no demand for spending, they can't, make the money to generate the money via all kinds of stuff and how they duplicate and make money. Simple that. Whenever there's a fee, there's always a transaction that creates tax, money, VAT, all kinds of shit like that. So, moving on, we've got this as well. There's no natural limit to the stupidity of Wall Street. 66% drop is potentially on the cards here, and I will talk a little bit about the SPX and the Dow Jones in terms of potential targets I believe we're going to go to. But overall, if there is a 66% drop in the market, that's going to be a severe heartache for a lot of people. Obviously, market cycles, boom and bust cycles, all kinds of stuff like that you got to remember. I personally believe this is bearish for the entire financial industry, even Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I think we've got to have demand. There will be panic, there'll be fear. And you've got to think, we're at a time and a precedent now that people are looking at cryptocurrencies as a place to go. But we need the money. Retail investors cannot give you that fuel they just can't give you that injection, can they? You've got to look at the institutions. If Bitcoin, for example, goes low enough, it will probably create a lot of interest. That's why I've always been on that preset that we've got to go low to go high. Simple as that. We do not have the power to go past 10k. We've got to come back lower. If we tap into the liquidity pool, which I have on a chart next, you'll see exactly what I mean in terms of where things could go for Bitcoin long term into 2021. Personal opinion, not financial advice. So the stock market looks pretty shit. I'll be perfectly honest with you. So be careful. So in terms of this, let's have a little gander at this. So what have we got? This is the Bitcoin weekly chart. It's interesting. Personally, I believe we're going to go lower lows from this point down here. Okay, we'll go from 5,000. We'll use the wicks as well if you wanted to, but that's obviously March 2020. That was, remember, the COVID-19 crash. There's going to be possibly another one. We'll see. So, where are we? We're here. We're at $9,000, $9,100 at the minute. Time writing this. Now, let me just remove some of the Hitman stuff. You can use Hitman, by the way. Links below if you want to crack on and use that. It's a really good trend analysis tool. So, if we broke above this level, it would have been bullish. It would have been a higher high, break the cycle into a bull trend. This is still a bearish trend. If you start looking at the formation, lower high, lower high, lower high. Simple as that, right? Simple. Lower low, lower low, lower low. What is to happen long term if this happens? We tap into this region here. I think this is where we're going to go. Now, whether you agree or not, put it in the comments, don't care. But I would like to hear your input as well. Personal. It's not financial advice, but if the stock market's crashing, if people don't have money, if people are unwilling to risk money as well, if banks have no extra equity coming in due to people spending money, it's going to create a problem. That fear bubble will grow. I think this will create a sell-off and we will go into this liquidity zone. This liquidity zone could be a way in for the institutions to make money through Bitcoin, through cryptocurrencies, through all kinds of purchases that they could recommend to investors as a potential safe haven long term. It's a very, very volatile asset. They are not going to recommend Bitcoin up here. Why do you think Goldman Sachs have randomly put information out about cryptocurrencies recently? Grayscale. The problem is their information is wrong. The narrative has changed. There's all kinds of links about that in terms of what they've actually been buying. It's a lot less than what they actually reported. That is a narrative injunction. Change. So, the news is starting to flip. Personal opinion, I think we are going to go quite low. Whether we go into the 3Ks and below is another story. There's a CME gap at 3,555 levels. If that is tapped, I think there will be a lot of liquidity there. Personal opinion, not financial advice. Best case scenario, if that does happen, it wipes off that CME gap, we change the record completely, and it could allow us to then eventually, if there's enough liquidity, if there's enough buying power at these lower levels, break beyond this. We've already seen what happened when we tapped it last time. We shot up. There could be one more big tap and then we could go for it, and then that could break it. This would indicate a huge level of support. Huge, huge level. So moving on. That's obviously Bitcoin. Let's talk about the DJI. This is what I put on my chart recently. Now, I was using Heikin-Ashi candles before on the crypto chart just for the Hitman. If we go wick to wick on this bad boy here, right, just to give you a bit of an insight, this is pretty much to the T went to the 786 levels. I personally believe we're going to go all the way down to these levels here. Okay, this is a weekly chart. This could take a bit of time as well. You got to think, if we go into these levels here and tap into those levels, bear with me, let me just make that a bit bigger. If I zoom out, this has 2016, January 2015 levels, whatever, all over it, right? All over it. You'll see in a second. When I get my rectangle, where's my bloody, there it is. This level here. This is the level that we're probably going to go into, okay? Which is in line with this level. Worst case shitty scenario, we could go all the way back down to 2012 levels. Down into these levels here. Which is a long way away, but it's also on the nose, right on the nose. So they are valid zones. So that is a DJI. 15,000 points, 12,000 points, give or take. Obviously, there's a variation of numbers there. That would not shock me in the slightest if this is going to become a recession. Be mindful. Finally, SPX, the old S&P. Again, the same narrative is here. The exact same play is pretty much on the table, boys and girls. Again, this one went a little bit higher, a little bit of FOMO involved. A lot of people were talking about how bullish the stock market was. And again, we could go all the way down to 2015 levels and actually 2013 levels for the S&P. So, quick question for you guys at home, for the viewers. What do you think? I personally think that this is a recession. We're just starting it now. There's going to be a massive supply and demand knock-on effect. There's going to be a huge amount of pressure for lending, for all kinds of horrible stuff, which would create pressure on the banks. What we don't want to see is banks going out of business. Obviously, that's pretty shit. It's going to make things worse. As much as we are in crypto and we go against the banks, that is a whole world of pain. They might be a housing crisis. There might be an automobile crisis. There might be everything going on. So, in terms of that, that is a long way down. It is a long way down, but it is also valid. And that is the main thing. And when you look at Bitcoin and you look at retracement of a move, and we retrace 68% or whatever, or 61% of Bitcoin, it's possible. Remember, Bitcoin has retraced from 20k all the way down roughly 87% of its move. That could happen again very, very easily if there's enough people scared. Doesn't matter who you are, what you hold. If people are looking to make money out of it, they will put buy-in pressure against you and they will sell it on you. Simple as that. If there's no demand, there's going to be a lot of issues. If there's too much of that supply, problems will arise. So that's today's video done. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, all kinds of good stuff. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that these levels down to 2013, 2015 levels are possible? I think so.